Hi, this is Salon Insider, and I'm Stacy Sobel, and today I'm with Daniel Mason Jones, and we're going to talk about something that's unpleasant to have to do, and hopefully doesn't happen very often, but sometimes owners and stylists have to fire a client.
Yes.
In your salon, Daniel, when have you seen that have to happen?
Luckily, we don't have to do it too often, but there have been times that it's had to happen. One of the most memorable moments, I think, was when we had a client that was mistreating one of the stylists verbally, and that is something we don't stand for in our culture at all, amongst team members or from client in any capacity. And so we addressed the situation right away. And what was pretty amazing was not only did we do the right thing, it was fun to watch the team rally around and say, hey, you know what? It's great to work here because when you work here, you're supported by leadership.
That's great. Yeah, and then your team really knows that you're behind them, even though I'm sure the actual conversation with the client was not very pleasant.
Not, no.
And sometimes you just get those clients that constantly ask for a refund. They're always it's I wouldn't say they're scammers, but maybe on the edge of it. They always just want, yeah, they always just want to complain, so they hope that they get it for free or for whatever. Sometimes that's the case.
Yes. Yes.
And go ahead.
So we've dealt with that quite a bit in the area that we live in. There's all different types of cultures here, which we celebrate, and that's actually our favorite part of what we do. With that, you have to understand that certain cultures where people come from, that's just part of what they do. Like,
Yeah.
for us, it's sitting in traffic an hour. People that maybe live in rural America, like, I would never sit in a car that long here. So when we have those cultures come in, we just have to let them know, like, hey, I understand. We understand this is a part of what you're used to, or, it just doesn't work here. These are our set prices. This is how we do business. We would love to have you here. And if this doesn't identify with your personality or needs that you have, that's okay. It's okay. There's a salon for everybody, and there's everybody for a salon.
So in that, let's do a little role play. In that scenario where you've got to let a client go, how would you approach? Like, how do you handle that conversation?
So I like to always handle it face to face because emails or anything that's sent in a text can be really mistranslated. And it doesn't mean that it's coming from a place of anger or malice. It's coming from a place of this just isn't working. So when you have the opportunity to have that heart to heart conversation, I believe it should be done face to face, not through a mirror. It should be done in private, not in front of people. And it should be done in a way that is professional, that reflects your brand. And also just understanding, like, hey, this person may have a really negative reaction to this. There probably will be a consequence to this. However, standing up for your business is always going to be the right thing. So if I were going to have that conversation, I'm going to always position my body in front of them. I'm going to always remain calm because that's what leaders do. We have to remain calm. And I'm going to use a lot of I feel, I see, I understand, those sort of statements when you're having the conversation.
Great. So let's say I came in after Halloween and I had dyed my hair black for because I wanted to be Priscilla Presley.
Perfect.
And after repeated attempts to get the color, and I kept asking for a refund
Mhm.
because they were not achieving my natural looking results, which we know is not possible with just one service. So, um, what would you say to me?
First of all, it would have been set up in the very beginning, or it should be. If someone's coming in for something that we know is not realistic, there needs to be the expectation communicated in the forefront. And not only just communicated in that I'm saying, hey, this is not going to be possible in one visit, maybe even three visits. This is how much it's going to cost you minimum price. Understand that because you made this decision to do this to your hair, in order for me to partner with you through this transition of hair color, these are the expectations of what could happen. This is a price point of where this began, and it could go into this area here. And also understand with the contract, a color contract or a waiver saying, we may not even be able to do this. I'm committed to you, but so make sure you set the conversation up front. Always say, if you don't have the conversation up front, you will have it on the back end.
On the
It's
back
easier to
end.
have it
Yeah.
up front. So now, say this person didn't set those expectations, or maybe the guest just simply said, I didn't hear you say that, because we know that could be part of the conversation too. They're coming in and they're demanding a refund, or they're demanding something that's unrealistic, maybe even going blonde or whatever their natural color is today. So this is where you, again, have to position yourself face to face and say, I hear what you're saying. I completely understand your frustration. And I need you to have that same level of empathy and understanding with me as a professional. Pause. And then carry on your conversation. I think a lot of times when we become nervous or emotional, we overtalk and we make the situation worse than it is. We need to allow people the space to think and talk on their own. So I'm not going to be able to get your hair blonde today. As stated in the first experience we talked about, it's going to take multiple experiences to get you here. Are you understanding of this?
Yes.
Let them answer. And then I would say, so we can go through another procedure today. Moving forward, I'm not comfortable as a professional doing your hair for another 4 weeks. Are you able to live with this for 4 weeks until we get the hair healthy enough to do this again? And pause and let them answer. So it's very simple. I think a lot of times we let our emotions get the best of us. And we as humans, we also do another thing. We make the worst of situations that may never even happen here.
Right. I did that today when I had to tell someone I wasn't going to make it to something, and I thought that they weren't going to take it well, and I delayed calling, and that was making it worse. And then I called, and they were like, "Oh, we didn't think you would be able to come anyway." So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
We do that. We're pretty great artists in creating things in our minds, aren't we?
So let's take the scenario where you have someone who was truly verbally abusive to one of your staff members, and you needed to confront them about it.
Mhm.
How would you handle that conversation?
Um, I'm going to step in with the same level of whatever. If it's energy, I'll step in and meet them with that same energy, because if you come in super passive, they're going to think that they can run over you. Again, you don't have to be mean and you can still remain professional. Boundaries are professional. So I can give you an example of something that happened in our salon a couple of years ago. We had a guest that I had taken care of for 20 plus years, and I had hired a new associate. The new associate is really there to make sure the experience is extra perfect for my guest. And on that particular day, my associate asked the guest, would she like a beverage? Well, this associate has a very thick accent. And the guest turned her head rather quickly to the associate and said something very, very terrible to her, on regards to where she's from and how did she get here? Did she belong here? And so obviously the employee was incredibly upset over that. I didn't hear it in that moment, because if I had of, I would have ended it then and there. Another stylist walks up to me and tells me what she overheard. I went to that guest, and typically I always say, "How are you?" I walked over to her and I said, "So today, I understand that you had words with one of my stylists, and it was very inappropriate what you said." And she very proudly said what she said again. And I told her that I was unable to do her services that day or ever again. I thanked her for the 20 plus years of business together and helped her get back to the changing room to get her clothes back on so that she could leave our salon and not come back. And she was not happy, but that's just what it is. That was a choice that she made to, number one, think that, or even worse, say that out loud. And so my choice was to handle that. And you have to think, as a leader, we've heard it a million times, what you permit, you promote. So if I would have allowed that behavior in my salon, then I would allow other people to come in and mistreat my stylist or team. And that's not how we do
No.
business.
Well, kudos to you for doing the right thing. And I know it wasn't probably easy, especially if you had that kind of a relationship with someone
20
that
plus
long.
years, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful that she's gone now that I think back to all the conversations. She was never she was never mean to me at all, but she would just it was like an energy vampire. And so the
Yeah.
conversations that she would have were always kind of draining and taxing. So after I got rid of her, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I have to always think like, okay, that person left and I probably got two new guests in her place that are way better. So
Way better. Right. And
um,
sometimes those people that just zap your energy are also
mm,
not
not
worth
all
it.
money's good money.
Yeah. So, well, thank you, Daniel, very much. I appreciate it and appreciate the advice. It's
Thank you.
not an easy
Anytime.
thing to do. So,
I'm always up for that conversation. In fact, I did a podcast, I don't know how many, probably 3 years ago, where I recorded a podcast on this very topic, 5 ways to fire a client. And it had some good information in there. But yes, don't be scared to do it. Protect your peace.
5 ways, 5 different ways.
Mm.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yes.
I'll have to
Yes.
go back and listen to that.
I'll have to find it and send, I'll text it to you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Stacey. Take care of yourself. Bye.